again, everyone. My name is Andrew.
My name is Shuhui.
And I'm Josué.
And welcome to our fourth discussion of episode 4 of Shrouded Stories Beyond the Great Wall. We decided just moments ago we would all say it at once this time, just to see what the effect was. Leave a comment. Are they able to, what are we posting this? Can they leave comments wherever we post this?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, they can go on Instagram.
Oh. Well, you know...
It's going to be on YouTube.
I forgot about that.
Oh.
This is visual.
Oh, then you write those comments.
I'm
you
the
write up a
producer.
flurry.
That's not necessary.
It's okay. But yeah.
Okay. So we go to the fourth episode.
The fourth episode, which is kind of our big battle episode, essentially. It's Gong Gong and the fight and the battle. Just going over it again in preparation for talking about it. It feels. It's very action movie in its structure. It's surprisingly specific in the logistics of the battle. Because, you know, it's very easy to just say, oh, yes, they fought and these people won. But we get the blow by blow of, oh, here the army moves this way. Here, this guy gets hit by water and so forth. I mean, dare I ask if this is stylistic of other, Chinese myths? Is the specificity usual?
This one's a little bit special. Well, normally when people are defeated, they don't go knock over a mountain. So you have to follow his emotional journey on how humiliated he was, and I just want to kill myself, but I want to bring tons of people along with me.
Yikes.
That just...
Yeah.
That's very human for God.
Yes. Big, again, another point we're touching on a lot. Oh, these very, very human gods. I mean, as far as the elements at play here, as literally the elements at play here, fire and water,
Yeah.
we are super used to... in our sort of Western understanding. Thanks to Dante, thanks to a whole lot of hellish iconography and imagery over the years, we associate fire with bad things, with evil and with hell and so forth, and generally water with good things. Here at least for Western listeners, the script is flipped a little bit. And yes.
And to that point, a lot of civilizations are water-based. Like, they go along the riverbanks and all that. So... And that's where culture and cultivation starts to happen. So it is very strange that to see this flip of the roles.
Yes. How do we account for this inversion?
Before I go into the water and fire, I want to touch on why I chose this version. Because there are tons of versions of how this happened, but it's always ended with Gong Gong knock over their mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But the person that he was fighting could be Niwa, could be other people, and there are just multiple versions. And I think at the time it was just two tribes fighting over conflict, or over land, or over resources.
Yes, you.
Okay.
Go. Sorry.
Sorry, I love the concept of two tribes fighting and this there being a mythological consequence for that.
Yes.
Because that happened a lot in other places. Like, two tribes fought. Whoever won, well, that god would maybe usurp the loser god's powers, because that must be the one god that is actually good.
Yeah.
Because they helped. And we tend to see, especially in modern age, mythology as something apart from the living world, where in that part, the people that actually believe in that, it was very interwoven between itself.
Well, let's go back to why, in this case, water bad and fire relatively good.
Mm-hmm.
Is because long time ago, when forest caught on fire, after the fire's done, then humans go back into the forest, all of the animals are cooked, and they taste way better.
True. I can attest to this. Yes.
And like a lot of other culture, we do start our life near water, but fire you can kind of escape because just leave. But water you cannot, because you always live by the water, and when it floods, it just destroys the whole humanity.
So we come back to the flood story.
Yes, this is another flood myth that with the waters roaring down. I mean, can we?
I mean, even like just Gong Gong just like flooding the entire palace.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This image, which you can, it's so just iconically myth to say a sentence such as "all the waters of the world just gathered," which I don't know exactly how to visualize that, but it's a sort of thing that's so grandiose and both fun to say and fun to hear, and just has this extra something about it. It's so imaginatively evocative. It's
Larger than life
yeah.
aspect. Yeah.
Just wanted to make that comment.
Yeah.
No, sorry. But as we were just talking a moment about the flood, which seems to be something that comes from this hole that's created in the sky. Now, I realized just recently that I feel like I'm not visualizing this correctly.
Yeah.
Do you think you could help us out a little bit, Shuhui, with the cosmology here and where this water's coming from?
I'm gonna try.
Yes.
But below we have purgatory and hell. But like it's a different world. Has everything we have above us. Everything below us has it too. So similarly, we have the similar world above us as well, and that water just happens to be a big. Okay, you're chuckling.
Panguo died, became the world. But we have a world beneath the world, and we know a world above the world.
Well, you remember.
Are there multiple Panguos?
You remember when he was like trying to open the world, he was holding up the sky and
But then when he died, it was like he became the mountains.
He became the middle world.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So it doesn't just like keep going up and keep going down like.
At the time that he died, it kind of stopped.
Okay.
I guess this is kind of a problem. We're going back in episode 1 in our discussion. This is kind of a problem that I guess you can't really be avoided with creation myths in general, just because there's always going to be the question of, well, exactly how did this come about? This isn't perfectly accounted for.
Yeah.
But with the idea of the water coming down, because a lot of us are familiar with sort of this like ancient Greek cosmology that's like you got an underworld or like a Judeo-Christian Sheol kind of thing, and then you have, as you say, kind of this quote unquote mid-world or our world, then like a firmament, a layer of water above it, and then the heavens. It feels weirdly similar in that way, if I'm picturing it correctly, to what we have in this story.
I wouldn't say the firmament is water in this case. We have like maybe a layer of something blocking to go in between, but I think that water is one of the results of imbalance of the yin and yang, and also it comes from the upper world, just a lake, sea, pound.
Yes.
I mean, you look eager to say something.
Oh, no. It's just like, I'm still like wrapping my head around like there being like, because like what you said made sense about Panguo being like the middle world. That makes sense. But like then when, for example, like Niwana Fushi like ask the heavens, then we're talking about like above and like the yang energy that was above in the heavens. And now we have an underworld. It's just like it's suddenly like the cosmology, I guess, expanded way beyond like what I thought we had. And it's not that it's bad. It's just like it's very interesting.
Okay, try imagine this heaven world is like Asgard.
Yeah. Okay. Asgard, Midgard, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then there's more force above that.
What?
Still, try even though like the deities living on the like heaven land, but they're still kind of limited and bounded by the force that balances yin and yang. So that's why like when you have like the both energies are imbalanced, they may be born bad stuff.
Okay. So like deities and all that are still like operating beneath the rules of the like Bagua and the like yin and yang.
Yeah.
But there's something about that is not dictated by those rules.
That I don't know. I wish I do. But
Yeah, no, I'm just like throwing questions here because like the whole like concept of like another world, asking for the heavens, water falling, dragons coming in. it just like it kind of like inspires a lot more questions.
Yes, there's. Oh my God! I forgive me. I don't want to sound trivializing at all, but I think we've all heard at some point of Brandon Sanderson's hard magic and soft magic systems in fantasy novels and so forth. But even in cases like this, it can be slightly applicable to mythology because it feels like probably even the word magic is not quite the right word to use for a lot of what's going on here, but it's soft rules, we might say, for a lot of how this happens. Like even with these two new characters on the scene, Gong Gong and Zhu Rong, we can assume that, okay, this palace of light was erected and these armies were gathered and these enmities were built way off screen during the previous stories that we've been covering. So the imagination has to fill in gaps with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
Great segue.
Yeah, thank you.
Very natural.
But you can basically say "speaking of which" and then just change the subject to anything you want, which is nice. But no, this is slightly relevant. The monsters. We have a little bit of a monster invasion at the end of this.
Yeah.
When I was first reading it, my thought was, oh, they seem to be implied to be pouring from this hole that's been riven in the heavens and so forth. But it feels like now that we're talking about how these things are a little bit less literal and more to do with sort of chaos and evil born of imbalance, it feels like maybe I'm misinterpreting exactly how these monsters came to be.
No, I think you're right because I guess chaos are associated with kind of like evil bearing a little bit. I think it's just adding varieties to species. I would consider like if you got chaos in you, you might be mutated into something that performed differently as you would without.
So it's very much a question of just like energy imbalance.
Yeah.
Of like, well, I guess that's what we define chaos as at the beginning. Like it's just like a mixture of the yang and yin, and like just like not balanced at all.
Mm-hmm.
So these creatures are kind of like that.
Still, personal guess.
Oh, we are not experts.
No, we need to have like a little just clip of us saying we're not experts all at once that we can just use for all the time. I mean, as far as like the characters go in this thing, I have to wonder because this is our first time, as we said, meeting these folks. I can't promise, or I certainly don't know if this will be in any future episodes. But is this a rivalry we've got to watch out for between these two? Are they kind of like known adversaries throughout multiple stories, or is this just one incident where they clash, Gong Gong and Zhu Rong?
I don't want to say for sure,
Okay.
but they sometimes they do come back, but never as a protagonist again.
Oh, it's sad to be relegated to minor character.
But there are a lot of like fan series and related stories that you can explore.
Fan series? How do you mean?
Just fan fiction.
Oh, are there a bunch? I hope there are like a lot of like fan animatics online of like this battle in particular, and then these.
Nice.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
There are.
Nice.
This whole world I didn't even know about. I'm such a fool.
Did you? I know we touched upon this. Like, did you choose to have Zhu Rong? Did you choose to have that as the main antagonist just because of because of the opposing quality to water?
Yes, because like I said, one of the version Nuwa was his rival, and because we've touched on how she was creating human and helping human along the way, naturally we'd fall onto her side. But I don't want to have this like predetermined kind of side when we walk into this new story. So I chose the guy that never appeared and have this opposing force to Gong Gong. So it's not necessarily I'm not necessarily right on this because there are so many versions, but this is just the one I picked to go with.
Yeah, it's a good stylistic choice.
Sure, and I do love this association of. We talked a little bit about this version of sort of elemental alignment being, fire good, water bad, at least as far as the characters are associated with. But I didn't mention as much how warm and cozy and great I do think that association of fire good is. Fire good. I mean, it's which is pretty deeply baked into us as human beings. Like not just on just the base level of it's slightly important for us in our civilization, fire. Yeah. But also in fiction, there are some positive associations. Like I'm sorry, I've got Lord of the Rings on the mind. I've got Gandalf is very fire associated.
Yeah, like there's a question of like renewal as well, and like Prometheus also gave fire to humans to be able to like build and cook and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
I guess, do we always stick with water bad?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so there's a shift that happens at some point.
Yeah, because we were all nurtured by water. 70%.
Yeah,
70. I feel so nurtured. I'm constantly nurtured by my own. Oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've come to the end of our predetermined questions for this. So now. There are, some things that we've talked about that we didn't expect to go to, and I'll open the floor to any last burning questions we might have before we adjourn. 'Cause I have questions.
Yeah, go for it.
No, just briefly, Palace of Light.
Okay.
What a title, and it feels like an important location that might be returned to, or is this the sort of thing that only occurs in this myth? And we are just going to be moving on to other pastures, and this wonderful set that with such an evocative name is just the staging of this particular battle.
I'm sorry, it's just the background.
I'm glad I asked, though.
But most deities have their own choice of where they want to live.
Yeah.
So it's kind of associated with their ability, characteristic. It could come back.
And is it just like a one deity per palace kind of deal, or do all the light related deities are there?
Are there roommates? Is our question.
Are they roommates?
I mean, if you have close friends.
Okay, well they can stay over, but then wouldn't
they're just more abled human.
Gotcha.
Sure, yes. I guess I only partially asked just because there was a feeling of siege during the battle in the way that's constructed.
Well, to that extent, you mentioned the whole tribe thing, and I can totally see this just these two tribes fought, the one tribe won, and they start writing the story, and they're like, "Man, we should just add these elements cool because we clearly won because of our god, so we should just write it like this and this and that, and just embellish it just a little bit." So it does still keep that's why maybe it goes this is all conjecture. That's why maybe it goes very too specific to the details. So then they did this, then they did that. It was a siege. There was a follow up by the sieged, etc., etc. But it's just gods because the gods are just humans with more power.
Yeah.
Like you said, that happens a lot in Chinese history as well. A lot of emperors have to justify their royalty. So you find ways to write in a history book that. People believe me because this happened, and I have this shiny object.
Yes,
that's all throughout human history.
Yeah. I'm so special. I've got a special bloodline, and I am irreplaceable, and so are my children and their children's children. Yeah. Oh, that's intense.
Yeah.
I got a little real there. Well, in that case, I feel I could keep going about some of this rivalry just because. Honestly, really quickly, I'll just say, by the time we get to, Gong Gong's been defeated, he's fleeing, and then he turns around, and Zhu Rong's like, well, I beat you, but I'm coming after you anyway. Yeah. It's that was the one moment between Gong Gong's defeat and the breaking of the mountain, where I was like, I feel like changing sides here, because this is kind of overkill.
Well, I mean...
If it's just a battle between the two deities, yeah, you kind of want to give mercy, but if you think it's a... fight between two tribes, you gotta grab the resource that you need.
Yeah, mercy means that they'll come back.
Yeah.
True, it's true. Oh,
But
that's
it
rather
does
sad.
it does kind of bring in the interesting question of like, was this just Gong Gong's fault?
Yes,
Or
it's-
was it just like was it just the action and persecution at the end that led to that?
It's like that great episode of Doctor Who. It's
No
David.
spoilers. I just started watching it.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we can talk about it. At some point, there'll be a great discussion crossover between the Shrouded Stories and Doctor Who.
But this brought up the question of like the Bujo Mountain. Like I guess that's just like Pango's knee that just stuck there and just like kept the sky aloft, or like that was literally what was keeping things in balance then. This is a question.
Oh. Sorry. Don't want to spoil, but like, you probably do need more than one pillar to hold up
Gotcha.
the sky.
Gotcha.
But this is one of the important one.
Okay, so like a foundational like main pillar.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Difficult balancing act, of course. By the way, I'm slightly, that was beautiful. I'm slightly distressed that the audience is not going to know what episode I'm talking about of Doctor Who.
Just mention the episode. As long as you don't give
sure.
spoilers.
It's David Tennant's first episode.
That would be spoilers.
What? That's not a spoiler.
Well, no, that's not a spoiler. Like, if
Well,
don't
you know
mention
that
it.
David Tennant is going to appear and have a first
I
episode.
know.
Okay.
I mean, the first season of the reboot.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
before-
I'm-
this is
yeah.
completely irrelevant to the
no,
podcast.
no. I think I steered clear of spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Hi. So we've banished Josué from the room because we want to talk more about this Doctor Who reference while it's still fresh in our heads. Thank you. You're being very patient. Sorry.
Yeah.
No. Basically,
I'm all ears.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just for your edification as much as mine, I wanted to mention that in reference to our fourth episode, the battle episode, in which Zhu Rong just chases down with intent to destroy Gong Gong after the battle is essentially won. It's just like the Christmas episode that David Tennant's introduced in. Have you seen this show?
No, but overkill.
Well, I'm not even done talking about it. Hold on. Just very briefly, because here's the situation, is that the Doctor, defeats the aliens, as you do.
Yeah.
And so the aliens start flying away, as you do. But then the Earthlings are all, hey, wait a minute. These aliens, they might come back one day, so we're going to zap them with a laser and destroy them all while they're running away.
Is there a problem with that?
A little bit. It's framed as a moral quandary in the episode, because the Doctor essentially sent them packing, but then the humans just decide to kill them anyway. So it's viewed more as wanton murder rather than self-defense. Which brought to mind Zhu Rong and Gong Gong and the chase at the end. Thank you all for watching episode 4 of Shrouded Stories Beyond the Great... No one?
Beyond the
Beyond the Great
Beyond
Wall.
the Great Wall.
We're thrilled to be chatting about these things we don't know anything about. And we will be back in another episode the 5th. It's gonna be a good one. There'll be some plot resolution. We'll talk about that. Thanks for tuning in. Leave comments, do the things, and take care.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.
Translation by Shuhui Yao. English adaptation by Andrew Goehring. Music by Solwyn Locke. Sound effects by Shuhui Yao and Josué Vera. Art by Ursula Yang. Produced by Shuhui Yao and Josué Vera.